Ooh,
Right. Like, that's why I don't got no kids.
I saw 2 other topics tonight. I didn't know this is what we were talking about. I'm here for it.
This was a side topic, honey.
No,
I'm
we were
here
just
for
having
it.
conversations until you came in. You know,
I mean, the short answer is, of course, there should be a consideration for the man's,
Thank you.
perspective. You can't just.
Ryan.
But at the end of the day,
now, Becky, did she not just say, "I'm not picking a side"? Now, as soon as Ryan come on, thank you, Ryan.
Not your ass.
I'm not picking the side, but I can attest.
We're going to talk about this later. But I'm gonna give my 2 cents as you asked.
TK wasn't picking a side. She just wanted equality. I ain't picking
a side.
The only consideration should have been before the act was started. Nobody in that room had no idea that pregnancy may happen. So that's when the responsibility starts.
How come it don't work the other way around though?
But why doesn't it work the other way around?
When the dude does want the baby and she says no.
Exactly.
But we're not on that, Ryan. Say it again, TK.
No, I agree with Ryan. Why doesn't it work both ways?
It's a double standard.
Who said it didn't?
It's a double standard.
Said it didn't? We're talking about one way. No one said it didn't work the other way.
I just gave you the example.
You as the man have an option when the woman still wants to have a baby. No one said it doesn't work the other way around. I was answering
You said, Shanda, that they should have had that conversation before they did the thing, right?
Right.
No, she's saying if the man says he doesn't want a baby once she gets pregnant, does he have an option of her saying, no, I want to keep the baby? Clearly, she wanted to keep the baby from the beginning. If she got pregnant, and her mind was, I'm never going to have an abortion if she kept the baby. So him and her should have said, what if you get pregnant? What we're going to do? It's not.
What you're saying, Shanda, is before you had sex with this woman, you should know if she gets pregnant, she's going to want to keep the baby.
Exactly.
Agree.
But what if she changed her mind? What if she set him up and he was like, you know what this is? We talked about this.
That's
what the conversation was. We talked about this.
Everybody, welcome to Top My, and this ain't even a topic show. We've been talking before the show started. And we done got a whole heated discussion.
Yes.
It's not even a topic. Look, everybody missed the first question. No, you didn't, Kimberly. We were talking off air, and we just came on talking about anything. How y'all doing, honey? How was y'all weekend? Hey, Veronica, Kimberly, Sarah, Santana. Thank you all for joining us. We will get on that. Clearly, that's going to be a heated discussion. Because TK already rolling her eyes and her little curls.
That's going to be my topic. That's going to be my topic.
Don't talk about her curls.
That's going to be my topic.
Now, go ahead. Wait a minute.
Bro, I've heard a lot. While you do that, let me just say, I've heard a lot of podcasts. That introduction, I haven't heard an introductory track that rivals that beat and the way it drops off.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Ryan.
And this is your show, Dr. Queen Shanda Roberts. Take it away.
And here he goes, egging her on.
Y'all let my friend encourage me, okay? Because that's my friend. Y'all not my friend.
We will let him encourage the foolishness.
The crown. You don't respect the crown. Thank you, Ryan. And for that, Ryan, I'm going to have you go first. Thank you, Ryan. Introduce yourself to the beautiful people out there.
We're just doing introductions today. That's all we're doing, the introductions.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'm Ryan Davis, psychology professor, personal leadership coach, holistic lifestyle coach. Welcome, everybody.
Take care of the talking. Go on, Becky. Good evening, everyone. Well, say hello to Becky Thomas. She is on here tonight, just hanging out with us. We're going to talk with Becky as well. Thank you for joining us, Becky. Everybody give her a round of applause.
Becky is a regular.
Hi, guys.
This is her fourth time, so now she's no longer she's a regular.
She's regular.
Yes, I have a house key now. I am not just a guest. I'll just show up. Hi, I'm Becky Thomas. I am a singer. I am a teacher. I am a vocal instructor and a hairstylist and makeup artist.
Period.
Becky, you a hairstylist and a makeup artist. I'm sure that you have some sort of way that people can reach you. Why don't you have your handle right there by your name? We gotta get at the Becky Thomas or whatever your handle is there.
Okay, I will. You know what I mean? I'll do better, Ryan.
No, it's for you, not for me. If you just want to
plug it in while we're talking,
if you just want to be Becky Thomas, that's perfectly fine. But I'll just let them know how they can reach you.
My name now.
Yeah, let them
there
know.
You go. No nails.
And I guess,
makeup and hair. Makeup and hair. My bad.
The lady over here.
Did y'all hear it say, I guess?
I guess. We'll let her tell y'all.
Best for last, right? Best for last, TK.
Thank you, Ryan. Because,
Doctor, that's all.
Let me see. Dr. Queen, Shanda Roberts, Mrs. Co-host, author.
And all that. And then some.
Whatever. For all of our new listeners, I am TK Owens. And because it's her day to be the host, I will listen today.
And she gonna act up.
Back to the queen, Dr. Shanda Roberts.
Did you introduce yourself? People maybe on here who don't know you. Did you say your name?
You didn't even hear any of that. Really?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. I'm so sorry.
She was relishing in her glory. Basking in the glory.
Good evening. Oh yes, Ryan. Hold on, Ryan. You are so right. How do I need to edit my name, but I don't know how to do that on here.
You are not about to put that Dr. Queen on there.
I think the tiara speaks for itself. I think the crown speaks for itself. That's not a tiara, by the way. That's a crown.
As soon as I can figure it out, I'm going to change it. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in and welcome to another night. Thank you, Veronica. Listen to my supporters over here in the comment section.
Look at this.
This is a great Monday. Today is great.
Queen Robert.
You know what? Let me know, y'all. Excuse me. This is my night. Do I have to mute you? Listen, you all.
Wow.
Let's take a poll. If you think Dr. Queen Shanda Roberts should wear the crown every Monday night, please put a crown in the comments. If you think I should because I'm going to wear the crown. So you think I should only wear the crown when I'm hosting, please let me know. Put a purple heart in the comment section because I'm wearing this crown. Anyway, so we're going to talk tonight. Now, Veronica said thumbs up.
How many times can I vote?
Twice. So we're going to go ahead and move. I believe Cindy is going to join us tonight. But in the meantime, y'all know what? Y'all know I'll never do right. I did not even add my little pictures in here. So let me ask y'all, what did y'all do this weekend while y'all do that? TK, how was your weekend? While I procrastinate, make up time. Go ahead.
I voted on the chat, so sorry.
Okay.
But anyways, my weekend was filled with work and also work-life balance. I had to work Saturday doing volunteerism, a volunteer project on Saturday all day. Then I came home and I was extremely tired, but Sunday is always usually family day or the weekend. But if I have to work Saturday, we make sure that we do a family day. So we went to Wings Over Homestead down at the Air Force Base. If you guys, I bet Ryan, you heard all of the planes down there.
Yeah, they're flying in my backyard all weekend.
So I was there all day Sunday. We were like the first ones in line and we were there all day. But it was a great event for our family. We always make sure we try to do a family outing. But it was great.
I have pictures of our kids from that years ago. I saw your pictures and it brought back memories, honey.
Aww.
I see the kids there all the time. So that was so cute.
Yeah.
Ryan, what you do this weekend?
I had a couple of meetings. I found some time to relax a little bit. Went out to dinner, but I got a lot going on, man. I got a lot that I'm dealing with right now, trying to handle with work and personally trying to get professionally things going. And it's all good. But it's a lot.
That's good.
Yeah, it's a lot. So I'm just my weeks kind of trickle into my weekends, and I try to catch up on what I didn't get a chance to do during the weekends and stuff. And so it kind of blends together a little bit. But yeah, nothing. I didn't go on any vacations or anything to talk about this weekend. If that's what you're looking for, I'm just trying to towards the end of the semester, summer's coming. I got some projects I'm trying to work on. It's just work related stuff. But when I say work, it's not necessarily bad 9 to 5 pain in the ass work. It's just work stuff. Got to put effort in. Not a vacation per se, but.
Well, that's okay. I'm not looking for anything
Yeah.
exciting. Just
Yeah,
doing
that's
a
where I'm
temperature
at.
check, seeing
That's
how y'all doing.
That's what my
How was your
temperature is.
weekend?
That's
Well,
my
that's
temperature.
good.
Yeah.
Mr. Becky Thomas.
Yes. So my daughter had opening weekend this weekend for Miami Children's Theater. She was one of the lead roles in Annie, the musical. So while she participates there, the way that I give back to Miami Children's Theater is I do all the hair and makeup for all the lead roles in the show. So lots of wigs and lots of makeup, but we had 4 shows this weekend, 1 on Friday, 1 on Sunday, 2 on Saturday. So it was a very busy weekend, and we did church Sunday morning. And now, I'm exhausted and ready to start this next week. We got 3 more shows.
Oh,
yeah.
So you're not finished?
We're not. We have 1 tomorrow morning, and then we have 2 on Saturday.
Oh wow!
That's awesome. But those are good though, and I love her daughter. She's such an old lady. I thought Gigi was an old lady. Bella is an old.
She's an old soul for sure. 17 years old with a 45-year-old body and mind.
And her birthday is today. So happy birthday, Queen Bella.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Princess Bella. I'm the queen.
Princess,
happy birthday, Princess Bella.
We bow to her royalty.
What about you? What about you, Queen?
Oh, what did I do? Y'all know I can't even remember
your
what I did.
Subjects.
Right. I don't even remember. I know yesterday I got up. I went to 9:00 service with Gigi. I came back home and I was back in my bed by 11:30 in my onesie. I got a onesie. Sweet year. That's another story. But I was back in my bed in my onesie by 11 o'clock.
I bet it's purple.
No, it's not. It's someone bought it for me.
It's probably gold.
No, it's pink. So Saturday I did do something. I went to the Relay for Cancer walk up at Stoneman Douglas High School, and I sang the anthem for the cancer walk.
Sounded pretty.
Thank you. And I've never been there, but it's such an eerie feeling just going there, knowing what happened. And I literally called Jordan and said, this is such an eerie feeling just to be up here and to think about, what the people, the victims of that tragic incident, what happened. So I was like, just really, just kind of in my feelings a little bit. But as I was walking out, when I finished, I heard a young lady, I guess, I'm assuming she went there, but she said that she was having flashbacks and she had to take a minute before she walked onto the field. So there are people still, suffering from that event and what happened. So we keep them in our prayers, and everybody who has to deal with those tragic things that are going on at schools and the shootings and the murders and everything. So even though I went there to sing for the anthem for all those cancer survivors, I'm proud of all of them. They were walking around with their caregivers. It was a beautiful event. It still holds some type of tragedy at that school. So keep them in prayer.
Shanda,
and we will
real quick, hold on, run it back 1 second. I got a question about something you said just a second ago. You said something about going to a 9:00 service. You was in bed by 11. Don't they have an 11:00 service over there at Calvary?
Yeah, but I went to 9:00. I didn't have to sing.
So if I would have went to that 11:00 service, you'd have been in bed sleep.
Yeah,
I was eating lunch. I was asleep by 12:30.
Okay, good to know. I was this close.
But you gotta let me know when you're going.
He almost came to church.
That defeats the purpose.
But I wasn't singing yesterday. I wasn't serving.
Well, Ryan,
yesterday.
it's Easter Sunday. This Sunday, you have another opportunity.
Right,
I think I'm intentionally not gonna go. Easter is a different beast. The Easter service is a different beast. That's a big celebration. It's like I don't get the same. I've been on Easter. I don't get the same.
I understand you.
You know what I'm talking about?
I really do.
I think Easter is for the people who don't normally go to church. It's kind of I don't want that vibe.
Though, because Easter happens, so we celebrate Good Friday, and Good Friday is usually a little bit more somber and everything like that. And then you have your, whatever Saturday, and then Sunday, everybody walks into like this big kind of party. And one of the things I was telling like my pastors, I was like, what if these people have never gone to church before? it's kind of like they're walking into the middle of the story. They don't quite know why everybody is so excited, and it could feel weird and out of place. And so, like, one of the things I really challenged my pastor to do was to not necessarily start everything off with like this big party thing, but actually talk about what the main part of the story is.
And I've heard pastors do that, Becky.
with the with the resurrection, and then you have the party. And I feel like it makes a little more sense that way.
I've seen that. Yes, I think it is very crowded. That is one big part. And that's not a bad thing per se, but for me, it was more so I want to go there and get a raw service, which is like there's no hey, we got to do what we got to do because there's a lot of new people that normally don't go, and I want to kind of encourage them to come back and don't just be here on Easter and like you don't got to tell me all that, but there is a part of that they need to do. And so,
but then next week it's not all the bells and the whistles, and next week it's not all the
right.
I hear you. I get you.
So anyway, I'm not gonna tell Shanda that would defeat the purposes. Even if you were in the stands,
look at that.
Creep up on you. Have you be shocked and shook. I want to walk in when you're on stage. That's what I want.
I will tell you, I probably won't be there Easter Sunday, but I will be there Good Friday. Good Friday is a good service. You can come and hear the whole story on Good Friday. So it's up to you. Let me know.
No.
So I can be looking out for you.
I'm not letting you.
I'll be like, Ryan!
Nope.
Just loud.
I know him.
Loud.
I'm like, come over here. Come stay with me.
Exactly what I don't want. I want to go sit in the back, listen, receive the message, feel the.
Don't even let her know you there. Oh my God.
Don't
tell her. When I find out, my crown tilted a little bit. Fix your crown, girl.
Here we
Fix
go.
your crown.
First.
All right, let's move on.
Because
it's already 8:17.
And Cindy's over here in the comments. We see you, Cindy.
You see her.
You see Cindy?
I was over there last
night. Tell her to come on.
You only wear the crown on women.
She's finishing up something. Let her finish.
I love when she's doing it.
I even see her comment. Cindy.
No, I actually did that, and it actually came in on everybody.
Oh, okay, because it came in on hers first. I thought it was okay. All right,
that's okay.
On my YouTube too. I was like,
let me just say, I will not wear this crown once a year. Okay.
TK trying to be slick, talking about only doing it on Women's History Month. Did it under the account.
Let me give a disclaimer before we move forward.
Okay.
I am not a therapist, psychologist, or psychiatrist. I am a woman who has survived sexual assault, domestic violence, and among other things. And I have taken a few classes regarding these topics. So I'm only here to share what I have learned, what I've experienced. I hope will help going forward. Okay. I don't know about trying to talk Miami and talking about they said do this and do that. Okay.
Don't come after us.
Don't give me a disclaimer. So what I wanted. So April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and the reason why I wanted to bring up this topic is because someone did ask me this week about how to they were asking me about how to heal from domestic violence and how to move on and what things they should do because they are no longer in the situation, but it's hard for them to move forward in other relationships. And then that brought me to think about trauma that I have been through and how did I heal? What did I do to heal? Because everybody's healing looks different. So what we're going to talk about tonight may not be what may work for you, but maybe hopefully it's the blueprint for you to start. And hopefully get something out of what we're going to say to start the process. What you laughing at, TK?
Nothing. I got a message. Sorry.
If you're going through this situation, have been through it, or know someone that has been through it. Before I go forward, does anyone want to share if they're a survivor of sexual assault? If you don't mind sharing, if you want to share if anything happened to you. No? Okay.
Of us or in the chat?
Yeah, I've never been through it. I don't.
Y'all.
I'm here to listen and learn. I've never been through it, and I don't even think I know anyone that has.
Okay.
I was in a close situation, but I was able to get out of it. Thank God.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm dating a survivor. I don't know what that's worth, but I've heard a lot.
Wow. Well, that's important too because that's good because trust me, Chad, George, I've been through it all. being with survivors is living with living through it with them, especially if they're in their healing process. So, how do you heal from how to heal from the trauma of sexual assault? Let me not first assume that people know what sexual assault is. So I'm gonna quickly define it. Sexual assault is an act in which one intentionally sexually touches another person without that person's consent, or coerces or physically forces a person to engage in a sexual act against their will. I want to give that definition because some people may not know. And then there may be people on here that need a clear definition.
Yeah, I think
So,
that's good. I think that was helpful as a where to start. I think that was good
yeah.
because when you say that, I realize I've dated more than one person who's actually dealt with sexual assault, and in one instance, it was within their own family.
Right.
Wow.
More emotionally traumatic.
A lot of people don't like to define it or put a name to it, or think it's just something that happened, they move on. And we don't realize how,
Or strangers.
wow, right, we don't realize how traumatized we are until we move on to the next relationship, or until we try to have a relationship or try to have a sexual relationship with somebody else, and then things start coming up and coming out.
Right.
And it starts, and I'll go into that also, some effects that may happen to sexual trauma victims and survivors. So here's some statistics: 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before they turn 18 years old.
Those are staggering numbers. If anyone will allow them to
crazy.
sink in, those are staggering. 1 in 4. Go to a classroom and you see 25 students in there. 1 in 4 of the girls in there. That is staggering.
Yes. Yes. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6. Again, as with domestic violence, boys don't like to speak about being sexually abused. So these are just numbers that are reported. I'm sure if everyone reported it, it would be even worse.
Right.
She's waiting. Do I need to add Cindy in, or she can add herself in?
She's waiting, I think, for the time to jump in. I think, yeah.
Nearly 2/3 of college students experience sexual harassment. Nearly 2/3. Rape is the most underreported crime. 63% of sexual assaults are not reported to police.
Yeah.
The prevalence of false reporting is low, between 2% and 10%. Now, that's something I really want to talk about as well. When they say the prevalence of false reporting is low, between 2% and 10%, that the fact that people false report that is a problem to me. And it's a problem because there are so many victims out there that are afraid to come forth because they're not believed. They're in fear of being believed or not believed. And then you have people who really lie about someone hurting them. I think that is crazy to me. But we've seen it happen. We've seen it in the news. I've seen it several times just in this year, last year alone. People saying they've been sexually assaulted by someone and then recanting their story. Now, I understand some people may recant because they're afraid, maybe recant because they're threatened, but then you do have the the few that do lie about or not honest about being sexually assaulted, which is horrible to say the least. And I feel that people who are found to not be true, they should serve the time that person would have gotten had they been convicted of it. That's just my 2 cents. What you think, TK?
I'm like I said, I don't know much about this subject matter.
I asked you a question, ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question? Because I guess I don't understand it.
No, it's okay.
Rephrase.
Yeah.
I was saying that if there is someone that lies about being sexually assaulted, and that person that they lied on could have faced, let's say, 5 years, 10 years, and they found out that the accuser was lying, I said I feel that the accuser should serve the same amount of time that person would have gotten had they been convicted.
No, absolutely. Lying is a crime too. I mean, especially when someone's life is at jeopardy.
Right.
I totally believe that any false information, isn't that called perjury? Anyways,
I know that's
depending on if
family under oath, I think.
Yeah, that's when you're already in the court. But if you're doing it like at a police station or something like that.
Yeah. But I do agree with you. I do believe that they do deserve just as much. You've lied, and my whole life is that my whole life can change. I
And
always tell people that your life can change. Look at Emmett Till, just like what happened to him. And his whole, it affected, of course he died in the end, but it affected his whole entire family, and it changed the laws and how we do things. So, I mean, I totally agree with you that they should be held accountable as well.
And the culture that we live in now, they cancel you for everything. So whether it's being founded to be untrue, people still side eye you a little bit because they still feel like there had to be some truth in it for someone to lie on you.
Yeah.
So it damages you, I think, forever.
That's really what we saw with the Johnny Depp case, right? It was a defamation lawsuit. It's like, listen, I didn't do that, but because you said I did, I lost, opportunities at work, and it was a real bad look. Let me go ahead and publicly show and state my case where it didn't happen. And so it was ugly and it sucked and it wasn't cool. But like, that's really what at the end of the day, I think, what was it that he didn't, he kind of softened up on something or didn't pursue like any money. He just wanted his name cleared, I think.
Well, because he was awarded $15 million at the end of that trial. And her lawyers came back and said, because of everything that has happened in this, she hasn't been able to get work, and she's not necessarily even worth anymore that money. And he backed away from taking the money, but it was absolutely necessary for him to do what he did in order for his career, because he lost out on getting one of the Harry Potter things. He lost out on getting another one of the Jack Sparrow movies. There was a bunch of stuff that was going on, but I think I don't know off the top of my head if there is necessarily laws that will persecute people who do lie about things like this. But I do agree that if the person is found to have lied, yes, there needs to be, if it can't be done in regular court, that whoever was accused should absolutely go after something, whether it's a monetary thing, whether it's defamation of character, whatever it is. There should be a civil suit that backs that up to help that person.
I think it is. I don't think it's a legal thing. I think this leaves it for the civil suits for the defamation. I don't think, like you said, Shanda, I was surprised, and I agree with you as well. They should serve criminal time for that. That would have to be a law that's passed. And then I guess the issue would be legally being able to now prove that. That's a whole nother case legally. But now I think it's just it's left to civil cases, civil suit.
Yeah, and I don't believe in a civil suit you could do time. I think it's monetary issues that happen after that. Yeah.
Sure.
Damages.
Time is money.
Because they can sue them for money that they don't have, and regardless of what, you still won't be compensated. They don't have it. You could say, "I'm suing you for $10 million." Okay, I ain't got it.
Right.
If I do have it and it ain't nothing to me. Or if I do have it and it's nothing to me, then I got nothing to lose. I'll just write you the check, and I don't pay. It doesn't hurt me.
Right.
Good comment though here.
Because you lie, like my mama said, you lie, you steal, you kill. You lie.
Slippery slope.
Ain't no telling what else you'll do, and that's a big lie.
Right. Yeah.
So for those who have been, if you have experienced sexual assault, a few tips. Like I said, this is not everything you can do, but here are a few things that can help you. If you experience sexual assault, try to get to a safe and secure location away from the predator. If possible, do not shower, bathe, change clothes, brush your teeth, eat or drink anything, or clean up the area where the assault occurred. And also, and most definitely, contact law enforcement or go to your nearest ER or call your local ER number. The second one is very important. A lot of people don't know that it's your instinct to wash and take a bath
because you feel dirty,
off of you and get that smell and feel off of you. But it's even more important to not do that until you have been checked by authorities, or I'm sorry, the hospital.
Oh, that's what you mean. I misunderstood that. But you're saying if there's been basically a crime committed, leave the evidence intact and get that to the official professional so that they can actually have that.
Examine you.
I see what you mean by that.
Exactly. You need to be examined because there's so much evidence that we can't see that they can help them find, of course, the predator
Mm.
who committed that act. So it's very important that you just keep, as long as you can, as long as you can stand it, to keep everything on. Don't wash, don't eat, don't drink, don't do anything until you've been checked thoroughly.
And that's
So
in the
real quick,
context, Shonda. That's in the context of assuming that they're going to go and make that call or go get that help. Like that's, it goes without saying. You're saying make sure you don't
yes,
do those things, and of course, go report it so it can be
Yeah.
exactly,
documented. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly. Because so much happens in a victim's mind when they go through that before, I'm sorry, during and after. And one of the things that I was looking up a lot of information today, long-term mental health effects of sexual trauma include a lot of different things like anxiety, depression,
Substance
Yep.
abuse,
some substance abuse,
Yep.
some people
suicide.
become suicidal because they're afraid and they're embarrassed. They don't want people to know what happened to them, especially if it's a family,
PTSD.
if
Yep.
it's a family member that did that. I was listening to the to a story the other day on YouTube about this young lady who was molested by an older guy, and she told, I'm sorry, it was her godbrother, and she told her mom, and her mom cried about it with her. They talked about it, but mama never called the police. The mom never, she don't know if the mom told the boy's mom, but maybe 2 3 years later, she went to go visit her uncle. Her mom said, "Hey, go visit your godmom, see how she's doing." How do you send your child over there knowing that happened? I don't know everybody, but then when she kept going further in her story, her mom was a victim of sexual abuse. Her mom was a victim of sexual trauma from somebody, her family member, and her mom didn't do anything about it either. So it becomes a vicious cycle,
Yeah.
and that keeps repeating itself. That's which is why we need to have these conversations, and people need to know how to get help. We can't assume that people know how to get help or what help looks like. Yes, ma'am.
Right.
I've only heard stories. Like I said, I can't relate to this personally, but I've heard stories. So I want to ask you questions. So, like, I heard you mention it happening in the family. What if back in the day, things have changed now, but back in the day, families always had family secrets, and so it was never told. Even
Mhm.
if you told your parents, they kept it a secret. So if you're a younger child and you feel as though something is wrong, how are you supposed to heal or get help when your parents are keeping things a secret?
There's the billion-dollar
Well,
question. That's exactly what makes this so complicated and so traumatic
right.
Yeah.
for children. Exactly. If you can't trust
Exactly.
your parents, who could you ever trust? It's very,
Yeah.
very problematic.
Especially when and then there are some kids because in the fear of getting in trouble don't tell their parents. My mama didn't know until I was almost 40. I didn't tell my mom because I was afraid because mind you, when it happened to me, I had gotten spanked because I wasn't where I was supposed to be, not knowing where I was at the time. She
You're
didn't
talking,
know.
Shonda, you're talking about something that happened with someone outside of the family, though. And to be clear, you're
Right.
talking about you didn't
They
want to
were
tell your mom that you were abused by a stranger, by a boyfriend, by somebody else, which is obviously still relevant to be able to go to your parents. Obviously, TK, just for clarification, you're talking about what if the abuse is coming from the person who you should actually be asking for help. So
Yeah.
in
Right,
both
right.
situations, the relationship with the parent is
right.
important, but two different angles. Shonda, you said that you were scared to go to mom for help about what you did, what happened to you, because you were afraid of how it would look or how she would see you, or you would get in trouble for it in some way, shape, or form because maybe you were in the wrong or whatever the case, huh?
Right, but also he was a family friend. He was as close as a family member could be to me
Okay.
because he babysat us. He
Mm.
was in our home all the time. He was the one who we went to when my mom wasn't home. So to me, at that time, he was a family member, and I
Wow.
didn't feel I could go to. And even as a child, I didn't feel I could go to anyone to ask for
Wow.
help. So I couldn't imagine someone being molested by their parent, and
Yeah.
that's the person supposed to protect them.
Right.
And you see a lot of families where the mothers take up for the husbands or the
Absolutely.
boyfriend or the case may be. I've had a family member who mom put her out because she was touched by her boyfriend. Let's get to the healing part because I don't want to overshadow that because that's what the topic is about. But
Real
again,
quick,
healing can happen.
Shonda, real quick. just because I think that's very important. And I know TK brought that up because it is an important question. And not that we have the exact answer for that, but I think it's important because that needs to be said. If somebody is experiencing, mainly a child, we need to have conversations that are bigger than just the family, so that if it's happening in the family, at least there's a little bit of a trust with other adults that are trustworthy, whoever that may be, maybe another family member that they trust to talk and tell about mom or dad or brother or sister, or even if it's a counselor at school. So it's like emphasizing, look, mom and dad are first, but if you ever feel like something is wrong or these things are happening, even with mom or dad, you need to tell someone else that you trust, because mom and dad are also human and they could be making mistakes or doing things that are wrong too. But the short answer is it needs to be a bigger conversation, because the easiest thing to do with a conversation like this is not talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I think that also comes down to, though, like when you are raising your kids, how you're raising them to have communication with you. If every single time your child says something to you, you overreact or you scream or they get hit or something like this happens, it's going to create a natural boundary that they're just not going to want to come to you. So
right, Becky. I was speaking to the child who's being abused by their mom or dad, though. That's what I was talking about. They need another outlet.
Yes, they need another outlet for sure.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, you're right about if it's about being a parent that a child can come to, that starts in how you raise your child and you're available for them to have a conversation.
What the conversations are like, making sure that, I always tell my kids simple things like, I'll never be surprised by the things that you tell me, because I want them to know that when they come in, it's going to be like, okay, we're going to handle this together, whatever their reaction is, whatever, but I know in dealing with it from the outsider's perspective, I had a friend who was molested by her grandfather. And it was the loss was her dad having to go to his dad and cut his dad out of his life. And it caused like a big chain reaction afterwards. But when it happens inside the immediate family, it's
whole different can of worms.
It's
completely
trickier.
Different dynamic. And more traumatic to a certain extent, emotionally long term for that individual.
You have a lot less safe spaces, which is why guidance counselors at school are super important and super necessary. That they can run to youth pastors, as long as it's not happening in the church, which we already know that happens too.
Exactly. No, but you're right. That could be someone trustworthy.
Making sure that you have people around you who have been proven to be trustworthy, that things have actually yes, absolutely.
Shanda, how does someone even begin to heal? I guess
Shanda, I know you had more. I didn't mean to run that. I just wanted to address that one point. I know you had more that we don't want to overshadow there. I want to bring Cindy in too. I think it's a good time. Maybe she has something to add. We should bring Cindy in if she's ready. She's ready.
Hi guys.
Hey, ready? You ain't gotta get ready.
Hi guys. How are we doing? I'm just taking in the conversation. I had a comment about, making sure that, there are a lot of thoughts. So I got to back up to comment on having a parent in the house that it's inflammatory and overreacts can stifle communication between the child and a parent.
Prevent them from going to them for help.
And can prevent them from going. Oh, absolutely. And I think maybe that's a large part of why people don't end up speaking up.
Yeah.
Is because of the track record. Like if I come to you with something and you blow up, then it doesn't make me want to come to you because I'm going to feel like I'm doing something wrong.
All the time.
All the time. Yeah. So
and that boils over to relationships, because if I can't go to my parents about this without them getting upset, and nobody else definitely wants to hear about it, so I'll just keep shit to myself.
Right.
Exactly. And so that's a unfortunate occurrence that happens in everyday life.
Definitely.
And so sad. But to go back to if anybody lies, I saw Sarah Santana made a comment. I'm going to post it here. Said a childhood friend said that her stepfather molested her. Her mother left him and he went to jail. Years later, she admitted that she lied. Her reason was she didn't want her mother to with him. Wow.
Yeah, that's tough. And go back to the earlier comment, those who lie, and this might have been a child, and obviously there's emotions, but those who lie make it more difficult for actual situations.
Yeah. And that you can't prove, hard to prove, right?
Shout out to that mother though for erring on the side of the child, regardless.
For sure,
of the way.
erring on the side of caution.
Yep.
But for victims of sexual assault and sexual abuse, tell somebody. Tell someone. Someone will believe you.
Shanda, you had something else I know was to answer.
Yeah, I'm getting to the part where I want people to find ways to start their healing process. Like I said a couple of times, it's not everyone's healing may be different, but these are things that helped me. These are things that I tell victims that come to me, and hopefully, like I said, it starts the process. So one of the things that I suggest that people do is, first of all, tell someone, as Cindy just said. People can't help you if they don't know what's going on. Share, even if it's just sharing your story. Get it. Sometimes it helps to get it off of you. To tell someone, share your experience in your own way, so that you can start to recover from that trauma. You're not holding it in, even if it's to a therapist. If you're find someone that you can sit down and talk to help you get that out of you. I held on to my situation for a long time, and I felt free once I was able to tell what happened to me. I was no longer suffering from it once I was able to start sharing about it and saying what happened. Also, it's something as simple as doing what empowers you. Find something that you like to do to get your mind off of it. Find things that can help you to affirm you, to empower yourself. I know someone, she started riding her bike. She felt like riding her bike for a certain amount of time a day just helped her be free. It helped her to have some type of control, but to also empower her into doing something that was for her. Some people cut off their hair, some people attend retreats, some people do mountain biking, or something as beautiful as singing in front of a crowd. Those are things, like I said, I tell people do. I've done it, and it makes you just feel even a little bit better. Build a strong support network. You definitely need to have a support system when you're going through things like this, when you're trying to heal from it. Identify the people in your life who support you, not someone who just wants to hear your business. You need to find people who are in your life who are there to support you. And that's another helpful step towards healing. Also engage in now this is something I learned today. I never heard of this before, but engage in body focused trauma work, which is, now I'm going to tell you what it is, because I didn't know either. It says eye movement. I'm sure Ryan may know. He know everything.
No, he don't know everything. Don't put that pressure on me like that.
Eye movement. But you always know these weird things. I ain't going to say everything, but
I do know some weird things. I give you that.
Have you heard of eye movement desensitization and reprocessing?
Yeah, EMDR.
Yes. See,
I use that.
I'll tell you the honest truth. I'll tell you the honest truth. I only know about EMDR because someone I was dating went to a therapist to do EMDR.
I did that.
Or I should say, went to the therapist. Therapist suggested EMDR, and
what does it stand for?
Heard about it.
Eye movement desensitization and reprocessing.
Yeah, I've learned a lot about it since then, by the way, and I understand what that therapist actually did wrong and how they went about doing it wrong. But yeah, sorry.
And then also something called somatic therapy and emotional freedom technique. So somatic therapy.
Somatic just means body. Soma's body. It just deals with the body. Go ahead.
Yeah, it says it's an umbrella term for therapies that center on the mind-body connection. Like you said, this term somatic related to the body. And then also this other, what is it? Emotional freedom technique. So those are things that I guess from a therapist you can get some help, but also something simple as yoga, martial arts, a jog or walk. I know for me, working out has been helping me emotionally. It's helping with my anxiety. It's helping with, like, one day I worked out and I literally broke out in tears. I don't know why. I needed to cry, and I cried at that moment. But it helped me at that moment. A lot of times we hold on to stuff, and it could have been all the stress I was holding on to. and it came out while I was working out. And I stopped for a minute, got myself together. But people go through things, and you have trauma. It doesn't mean that you're not dealing with it anymore because you're not in that situation anymore. But sometimes it follows. It's still with you, and you still deal with it. Sometimes there's the triggers that bring certain things out. So simple. They said something about movement, body movement. Reclaim your body. So consider trying gentle yoga, martial arts, a jog, or a walk. And then also, and lastly, again, I will reiterate: ask for help. A trauma informed therapist can offer you coping tips and skills to help you through your healing journey. Don't be afraid to go to a therapist. Therapists are trained to help you have coping skills and figure out how to deal with those feelings when you have them and how to move forward. So, those are just some things to help you in your healing journey. I don't know if you all have some other tactics, but I also want to give some resources before we finish. Also, if you need help, if you need to reach out to RAINN, RAINN.org. Also, you could do womenagainstrape.net, and you can call the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 800-656-4673. 800-656-4673. So whether it's for you or someone you know that may need help, any of those resources can guide them in the right direction. Yes, TK?
I have a question for you, and maybe you can help those who are out there. I heard you say you waited how many years later to tell your mom?
Like 35
And was
years.
she the first person you told, or someone else knew
I
before?
told George first.
Okay. My question is, just like the Me Too movement, some people, and this doesn't pertain to you, I'm just trying to, was it a relief for you and freedom for you, or or is it too late to press charges against the person how many years later? Just like Bill Cosby and the Me Too movement. Like people was like, oh, that happened back in the 70s. Why are they waiting so long? Like, is the healing for the person, or the healing to see the person being accountable? Or is it both? I don't know. I'm all over the
I
place.
think there's a few questions.
Question. There's a few questions there, but
Yeah,
that's
there's a few questions in there. For one, for me, not telling my mom is just that when it happened, like I said, when it happened, there was so much going on. I just never said anything, and I was 4 at the time. And like I said, there's so much happened in my life, but I remember that day vividly. Everything about that day. I just know that as time went on, I just never said anything
Right.
to my mom. And I only told her because I'm writing my book and I didn't want her to find out in the book. That's why I told her.
Okay.
And then she did what I thought she would do, was blame herself. And I didn't want her to blame herself because she had to work. She had to take care of us. She had to, find people to watch us. So those are the reasons why I didn't tell her. Now, I wish I had, because I saw that he was arrested a few my life.
You broke up, Shanda.
I saw him on the news.
Oh.
Uh-oh, Shonda, you're breaking up there. I think we lost you.
We lost you, Shonda.
Well, Ryan, can you help elaborate on
The
what?
queen is frozen. Yeah, I mean, I obviously can't speak to what Shonda was sharing as far as her personal story is concerned. Shonda, let us know when you're back.
I'm
back?
sorry, y'all.
No.
There you go. There you go.
Okay,
I
yeah,
think that
you
my
go ahead.
internet, I lost all my bars just now. All of my bars just went away. I don't know what happened.
Go ahead. You gonna
But
finish
yeah,
that?
so I'm not sure where it cut off at, but I did see him that he was arrested. He was arrested a few times, and so I don't know. Healing for me, I felt guilty when I saw him on the screen because I felt like if I had said something that someone else wouldn't have been hurt. I hope y'all can hear me.
Those are all the things, the struggles that, aside from the abuse,
yeah, so
aside from that, victims also deal with these kind of things too. The psychological and emotional aspects of it all.
Wow.
You're still grainy, Shonda. I see you and you're moving, but I don't know if we can hear you or not. I was just going to add to what you said, TK. You were asking about. That's an interesting point. The question of, is the redemption, or I should say, is the prosecution some sort of a redemption that helps the healing process? It could be some of that, but I think that more so, it's more liberating for the individual in a way, and also maybe helps initiate their journey of starting to really exercise the trauma by just really sharing it from the standpoint of having an outlet, not so much what the consequences are. Or
and
what
I think the
happens to the accuser.
validation, I think the validation is huge
Okay.
too, knowing that
Yeah.
not
can't
only
get that
were
unless
you
you speak about it.
heard, but that something was actually, done about the situation. There's
Yeah, it's twofold. If
a
there's a
validity
prosecution or
in
something.
that and a power in that is, I know for me, like I said, I was able to get away from my assailant.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I did afterwards was, because unfortunately at this point I really couldn't press charges, because it didn't go all the way to him sexually assaulting me. Now I could have probably pressed charges on physical assault, but at that point I was more interested in getting away, and thankfully a
Okay.
bartender actually at the restaurant we were at saw that something was happening in the parking lot and came out and had called the cops and all that type of stuff. But for me, I went to people, men that I knew this guy, who were also in the church, and I told my story to them and kind of let them deal with him as they would. And for me, that was having those brothers stand up beside me and say, I believe you, we hear you, and we're going to make sure that this doesn't happen again to anybody else. We're going to have our eye on him. We're going to make sure that this isn't quiet, that this is known about him in the circles that he runs in. For me, that was almost enough to not have the shame behind it, because I immediately went to, I should have protected myself more. I mean, at the time I was, I had my gun license, but I didn't have my gun on me because it was a person that I knew and it was a person that I was comfortable with. So I left it in the car. I was just coming from work. I immediately went into the shame game, like maybe if I wouldn't have done this, or if I wouldn't have said this, or all these things. And it really took some guy friends of mine in my circle that I shared what had just happened to really say, no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, if you were butt naked in front of him. If you
Mm-hmm.
still turned around and said the answer is no, then that his responsibility is to stop. And so just hearing that, and the way that I protected myself after the fact, since I wasn't able to do it in the moment, was I got self-defense classes. I learned different tips and tricks that I can use to help me feel comfortable walking out, to the car again and being alone and things like that. So it's a matter of, yes, telling people, and having people surround you who believe what you're saying. That validation was huge. It let me know that it wasn't my fault.
Cool.
And TK, to go back to your question, I think a lot of people, reason why people don't, can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah,
Yes.
you're good.
Yes.
Okay.
You're
A lot of reasons why people don't talk up, because especially with that Me Too movement, a lot of those people, a lot of the men who were being accused were in high power, or was somebody important. And a lot of times, and I don't know, back in that, not sure when that happened, they may not felt like they will be believed, because there's a lot going on back then, and people, there were parties and things that happened. They felt like if you were with the groupie, if you were a groupie or considered a groupie and hanging with that social party or whatever, that you may have wanted it. So a lot of times people held on to that. But then when you have one person that speaks up and say, hey, so and so did something to me, then maybe, oh, you know what, that happened to me too. If she was strong enough to speak up, then let me speak up. It doesn't matter they spoke up 20 years later. It does not negate the fact that it happened to them. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, people like to use that against victims. And, well, if it bothers you, you should have spoke about it then. You can't tell someone to speak up about what happened to them.
Right.
Yes, in a perfect world, they would speak up when it happened. But the same person can do something to me and you, and we both may handle it differently.
Right.
I may want to knock their head off, and you may ball up in a fetal position and cry.
But that is, Shanda. Sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say something about that.
It depends on how the situation affects us. Go ahead.
Right.
I was going to say that's why these conversations in this education is important, and for us to support and encourage women or victims, men or women, speak up ASAP. Have a safe space or possible opportunity for them to feel comfortable doing it. One, so that they have an opportunity to, but then encourage that so that there's that doubt is pulled, because it was the next day they went to the police officers, or that week they filed it. Now it's not like you said, it's been like 10 years. Is she telling the truth? You take that doubt out of the equation if you do. So like you say, in a perfect world, perfect scenario, we want to encourage, absolutely, and not just encourage and tell them to be receptive to the victims when they do decide to come out and speak immediately. So I think it's a catch, but that's why it's important. Do it ASAP, so you pull that card of, well, why are they making that, or why are they coming up with that now? Are they making it up?
Well, anyway, I'm glad you all, thank you all so much for giving your input. Again, if you all need help, please reach out to the National Sexual Assault Hotline, 800-656-4673. And please, if something happens to you, speak up as soon as it happens, and when the first opportunity that you're able to tell what happened. Thank you guys so much for that.
Thank you.
That was awesome. Let's move on. This is gonna be real quick, honey, because this got me a little heated. But we're gonna move on to, because I got a little girl as an athlete. Don't play about my little girl. But
I heard so much about it, but I didn't get a chance to watch the game, so I'm gonna have to go off of whatever you tell me.
I honestly watched highlights.
Introduce the topic, Shanda. What are we talking about? Drop it on them.
Do that right now. We so I put this question. That really ain't my question, but I just put it so we can have somewhere to start. So my question is topic 2: competitive or classless? Are female athletes expected to behave when playing sports? And I'm going to show you the video of why
in the Elite 8 game, Clark had looked at Louisville's best player and did the hand in front of her face, and it goes viral in the Elite 8. Well, what does Angel Reese do in the championship game when it was decided? She goes right up to Caitlin Clark and is like, "You can't see me." And there was so much outrage online. Oh, how could she do that? That's bad sportsmanship. And I'm just like, really? So when Clark does it to someone else, all good. But when someone does it to Clark, no? It just felt weird. Trash talk's kind of part of the game, right? In the Elite 8 game. In the Elite 8.
Let me just say this before.
First of all, that's not what happened, Shanda. That dude's wrong. She did it to her bench. Whether we should get upset about it, we can talk about that. Factually,
no,
that's
she
not
didn't.
true.
No, she didn't.
That's not true.
No, she didn't, Ryan.
Caitlin Clark did to her own bench.
She did not do that to her bench, Ryan. Did you not see the video?
I seen them. I had to do research because this was the topic. I had to do my research.
I didn't watch the game.
No, that's what people want to say, because they're trying to give Miss Caitlin Clark a reason for doing it. And saying so and Miss Angel Reese shouldn't have done it. If we're not doing it, we're not doing it either way. To your bench, to your shoe, to the referee, to the stands. If it can't be done, it can't be done.
It can be done. Do it. Yeah, that's what
she followed her around and she did to her bench. It was done. This was done. So we can't call Angel Reese a classless and a thug, and they called her so many names. This is a child playing basketball, and these people on Twitter called her out of her name so disgustingly because she put her own hand in her own face in front of somebody else. But when somebody else did it, she was a great player. Now,
I think the conversation is the level of outrage we should have, though. I think that's the conversation. Should we have this much outrage and be speaking about these athletes to this extent? I think that's what we should have. Whether they're having whether they're having these interactions with each other, that's the game. They can handle it on the court and between themselves. The way we're responding, I think, really is the conversation. And I don't have that much of an outrageous response. I just wanted to see what the facts were and what the context was. Because there is such a thing as bad sportsmanship. There is such a thing as that.
Yes, but I think women, of course, get a lot of heat if they do anything. If they react in a certain way, they want to call them classless. These men on the basketball court do all type of stuff all the time. They beating each other up. They elbowing them in the nose and the eye and the balls and everywhere else. But women are called classless if they play basketball and play it tough and play it.
But it wasn't just
anybody.
It wasn't just a woman. It wasn't just a woman. It was a Black woman.
Exactly.
And I want to comment on that.
Let's go there. Go ahead.
I watched the game yesterday, and I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it because those players were balling their behinds off. They had style. They had grace. I don't care where you want to sit. Any person that can run a race, pass and catch and toss and score a ball with a full lace front,
This mom,
a whole set of
on.
eyelashes, and a gel manicure
yes,
Yes.
is a champion. You understand?
Yes, mom.
Absolutely.
Anybody who can win a championship
Accent's the best part.
with a full lace front, 20-inch, a set of hawk eyelashes, and a full set on your nails, and balled up those girls. What?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
Hey, shout out to LSU because they are champions, and she is a champion. But like, just for some more context,
What
she scored.
I have a problem with.
She scored 15 points, and Caitlin scored 40. So as an athlete, you do look at that as well.
Sure,
Just
but the
saying.
team
But because Caitlin is her team. Caitlin is her team. LSU are shooters. So she don't have to do all
I'm
that
just
work.
putting facts out there, Shanda. I'm just
And I'm giving it back to
Those
you.
are facts. Those
And
are
I'm giving you facts.
As
And
a
the
team.
LSU are shooters. They don't.
Yeah.
She don't need to score 40 points.
As
Caitlin
a
is her team. If Caitlin sits down, that team won't even be on the court.
But remember,
Angel-
you're saying you
Angel
can't
sit
see me.
down,
When you
and
say
the whole
you
team
can't see
still
me,
play.
when you say you can't see me, what can I not see? An average shooter on that team, or you
No,
can't see me?
you
I'm the
can't
best
see
player
us.
on the court.
She was talking trash about her whole squad. She was
After
like,
the
my
game
whole
was
squad,
over
you
and she
can't
won.
see
Correct,
us.
correct. Fair point. That's fine. But when you're talking about that as a statement as an athlete, why are you doing it? That's what I'm saying. And
Ask
that's
Caitlin first.
I'm speaking as an athlete, I guess, in a sense.
I mean, I think it's fun because
That's
you're
what
the
I'm
same,
saying.
It's
I
the
think
same
so
thing you
too.
go. It's the same thing you go. Ooh, you see that? You ain't
But
see that.
Cindy,
It's the same thing.
it's fun.
I don't
but
care that they did. I care
think-
that people are talking about this black woman
I
and
think the
calling
reason
her
why they're
name
talking about it like that,
because she did
Shonda, also, though, I think the reason why they're talking about it like that also is because the
Brown got
game was
mad.
over and she had won already. And it was personal. She said in her interview post game, "You're not about to disrespect my South Carolina conference
Exactly. But
team
does
like
it
that." So
matter?
it was personal in a sense, and that's
I
why I
watched
think
the
they're
game.
saying it had no place in that. I won't get upset
I
about
watched.
it.
Did y'all watch the game?
I
That
didn't
makes
watch
no-
it.
I
didn't-
watched
That
the
makes
game.
no sense. You
They
can't
did-
do something and tell somebody how to react to it. I
Yeah.
can't knock you down and you come back and
She
knock me
didn't.
down. And I say, well,
Oh, listen, Caitlin didn't
it
have a
was
problem with it.
personal.
Look what we're talking about. Caitlin didn't give a shit.
She
Caitlin didn't
didn't
have a
say a
problem with
word.
it.
She didn't say a word. It's
It's
about
Twitter.
It's about us.
demonizing and criminalizing and penalizing
It's about
black
us
women
having an opinion.
and women, female athletes, and how they play the
Yes.
game.
Right.
I'm an athlete, so I have no problem with the way that they handle themselves.
Right.
That was the most entertaining game. I think the coach has brought fashion into the game.
Baby, did you
So
see her
yeah.
in her suit? Yes,
You
ma'am.
saw her with her suit. I did
Cam,
see the pictures.
okay. Y'all could talk about the Tiger Queen all you want. She has a ring.
No,
She's
I
effective. She's
didn't watch it. I'm not gonna
impactful.
lie. I can't watch female basketball. I just can't do
She
it.
balled up those. This was not women's basketball. This was basketball.
I just saying why I didn't watch. I'm saying why I didn't watch.
Like,
I'll admit.
I don't watch
afterwards.
I don't watch basketball. Sorry guys. I was on the I danced for the NBA my whole life. I mean, oops. But I don't watch the
I
sport.
just
But
didn't. Like I said, I don't.
watching athletes go against other athletes in a very high intensity game and watching the synergy of LSU. Ooh, it was beautiful. It was choreography watching LSU versus Iowa
Yeah.
City, University of Iowa. And when we talk about how you scrutinize women, black women in the sport, it's just to demoralize them, make them seem less than, when the fact is, if you can win a championship with a lace front, a full set of eyelashes, hawks, and a full set of nails,
I agree.
you cannot say anything. You
Big
have
ups.
Yeah.
full on distraction on your body, extra weight.
Mhm.
20
Them girls,
inch.
them girls just had a little ponytail.
Cause baby, them lace fronts get wet, they start getting loose. They must have waterproof
And hair
glue.
goes awry. It's not in control.
And nails, I could barely get my little ATM card out of like the reader because my
Okay.
nails were just better yet. A whole
So
like
put some respect on her name. I'm going to say the thing that I didn't like, though, and it's a generational thing. After the championship, after everybody won and all the speeches were happening and the sports commentator was down on the court interviewing the coach and the players, everybody was on their phone. And it was televised.
Good luck with that.
All the players were on their phones, on live or FaceTiming or whatever. They were on their phones. And so after the game and sort of after the celebration, when they're holding up their trophy, there are pictures. There's a whole segment of Angel taking a photo. The camera's on Angel and she's taking selfies, or she's getting somebody to take a picture of her, and they're watching her like say, take another one. I don't like that one. Take another one. And so you sort of end up seeing these women's, like, as a generation, they're completely disengaged once they've won. You know, it's like it's
they missed the
inside.
moment. I feel bad for them because they missed the
like
moment.
they may have missed the moment.
Yeah, that moment on the phone is more important than what the moment was. We just
well, like you said, that's that's the generation. That's what they're doing. Everything that they do
not in the locker room.
That's my question too. I was like, wait a minute,
went and got it and came back.
They did, because they didn't cut the commercial. But
they went and got it and came back because their phones are not on the court.
There wasn't a rule about not having your phone on the court at during the game or after the game or whatever.
After the game, yeah.
And I felt like even when they're interviewing Angel and the camera's on her, or they're interviewing Morris, can't remember her first name, but she transferred to LSU because of the coach, and they're interviewing the coach. You can see other players directly in shot with their phones, and it was just like, you're taking us out of this moment, and also like, this is an entire group celebration. This has to do with everybody in the audience as well. Like,
no group celebrations with this generation, Cindy.
It's wild. So that kind of like
selfie.
Yeah, but until the coaches, the NCAA or the NCAA for them, I don't know, whatever they are, until they say it can't happen, it's gonna happen. They're gonna do it because that's the generation.
Going the opposite direction.
Social media, it has to be on their phone until the coaches and the whoever overseas basketball, college basketball, say no, you can't have your phones on the court no matter what. They're gonna have
that won't happen. We're going in the opposite direction, Shanda. The NIL deals actually will kind of absolutely almost require, almost to a sense, these athletes to document what they're doing, because their deals depend on their publicity of themselves and marketing themselves and their name, image, and likeness.
First.
We're going in the opposite direction of what you just said. That will not be regulated. It'll actually probably be encouraged to some extent if it's not already.
Now they're influencers.
No, I know it's not going to be. I'm just saying that's the only thing that's
You're
going
right,
to stop
Shanda.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to stop it. But anyway, nevertheless, I do want to just reiterate that these grown men and women on social media talking about these young ladies and how they're talking about them. Even the ones who's talking about Caitlyn, I don't agree with any of it. I think that the way they talk, and I see it all the time, even with football, but that's a whole other topic. The fact that these women are being torn apart. And I'm not just saying, oh, she a horrible player, or oh, she did. They are going personal and like degrading them and telling them she gonna like just all type. I wish I had screenshot some of the comments, but it's so
piece of dirt type shit.
How they were talking about these young women, whether you were for Angel or for Caitlyn, the disrespect I feel that women have. But I was even more upset that the disrespect for Angel being a Black woman, because I don't believe Black women are supported like they should be. But again, that's a whole other topic.
Shanda, though, I don't want to go on the record. I want to go on the record and say I agree with you in a sense that I don't think that female athletes should be scrutinized to any different level than male athletes are scrutinized. I think athletes are athletes, and I've dated athletes, I dated female athletes, spent time around female athletes. And I think that they should be, if they're going to be scrutinized, they should be scrutinized or given the slack equally as men do. And I think that we need to look at this as an observer and understand that they'll figure things out. If we're going to have an opinion about class, it shouldn't be double standards. And I don't care whether you're white or Black. I think that females in general, I agree with you, should not be held to a different standard in terms of their trash talk or their athleticism or whatever they're doing within their leagues. I think that it should be looked at as they're athletes, they're competing. We should look at them as fans and scrutinize them in that way. So I don't think there should be a double standard in terms of how you look at them because they're females. I think we can then scrutinize, though, behaviors and see, like, if there's a context that you thought was, whatever case, you can make a specific argument. But generally speaking, I agree with you. We shouldn't be looking at them as classless because they're competitive.
True. Well, anyway, we're done for the night because that
was a lot.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah, especially that first topic. That probably we could have done the whole show maybe on that one. That was a lot. So good stuff.
Yeah, that kind of route. That I don't know. All of that stuff is just, I didn't even really care about who won, because I liked LSU because I watched I see you ticket Flage from the TV show with Jermaine Dupri. So I like her on LSU's team. So I was happy for her, happy she won, unless she's a good rapper and they play her song and all of that. So yeah, I was okay with that, but I just felt that everything was too far. When I kept scrolling and seeing all these comments, it disgusted me as a parent. You know what I mean? Disgusted me as a female as well, because it's just not fair to the way they talk about these kids. But hey, go ahead, TK.
No, for both of these topics tonight, I was more listening, and usually you guys know I'm the talker, but because I didn't watch the game, and then I haven't been, I guess, connected to someone.
Homework?
I'm sorry?
You didn't do your homework?
Oh,
I know. Well, I couldn't when I shared with you.
You can put your phone on YouTube and ride down the turnpike when you get off work. We'll talk after the show, but go ahead.
I shared with you just how busy I was and actually thought I wasn't going to make the show. So I didn't have time, but I am here. But I can chime in from a competitive standpoint. I didn't do sports, but cheer and dance is considered the same. So I was in competitive cheer and competitive dance. And what I wanted to say is, I'm queen of petty, but I don't trash talk. My winnings and how I perform is my get back. So if somebody would have did this to me, you better believe after I finished, I would have went right back in their face and did the same thing after I got my trophy.
That's a definition of petty, because you already won.
I'm petty like that. So you do it to me, you better believe I'm coming back.
Baby, it's not gonna be so worse. It's gonna be. I'm gonna probably do 2 and a flip. It ain't gonna be cute.
Listen, my mom would tell you I was the queen of dance. Like, it was one-on-one. If somebody came in my face, you better believe, please don't come in my face, because you're gonna get it.
Well,
yeah, that's real.
Thank you all for tuning in tonight. It was a great show. We hope for you to join us. Are we going next week, or did we say Easter Monday we're off? I think we said we off, but I don't know. But you want to catch us? You can catch us on Talk Miami Talk Show.
Get back to you with that.
Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and the Twitter. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Talk Miami Talk Show, and you can reach us on Talk Miami Podcast at Spotify, iHeart. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts at Talk Miami Talk Show. We did not do our segments tonight because we did enough talking with our topics. But thank you all so much. Thank you, Becky Thomas, for tuning in and giving such great insight and comments on these topics. We appreciate you.
Always.
We'll be connecting again, probably on here some more. Thank you, Cindy. We missed you. Is your new song on here, Cindy? Well, not new, but the one I like.
Let me see.
I think
I know it's not a new song, but it's new for me. I just started listening to it.
Where's the video from your
the video's up here. The video is up here. You want to play it, Shanda?
Okay, play that going out.
Everybody.
Standing alone, handling my own. I go to therapy. I believe I'm whole. I practice self-love, not looking for anyone to fill me up. Then here you come, you let me be. You add to me. I go to therapy. You love me like a queen. With you I'm free, creating legacy. I see you, you see me. We'll stay together, baby. Oh, I spend my lifetime getting ready for you, baby, baby. See these feelings I get, I only get with you, I spend my lifetime getting ready for you, baby, baby. See these feelings I get, I only get with you,
Yeah, y'all don't see my friend.
I love it.
Say that one part.
Good.
That's my mantra. If you stay ready, never get ready.
If you
I
stay
knew
ready,
she was
you'll
gonna
never
sing.
get ready. If you stay ready, you'll never get ready.
Baby, y'all ain't see Sin with the midriff on, honey. Show
You saw it?
All the midriff.
Stomach.
I saw the midriff.
Looking
saw the hair?
beautiful.
You saw the hair with the extensions.
Shonda, I gotta get right because you back in the gym every day. I gotta get right.
Oh, don't let me hurt you, girl. I'm coming. I'm coming.
Jesus. And here we go.
Thank y'all so much. Good night. We love y'all. Have a good evening.
Bye, y'all.
Be safe. Be careful. Don't hurt nobody. And
All right, ladies.
bye, everybody.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Wanna live with you.